Welcome to this first edition of Inside Bobcat Athletics on TXDBobcats.com. I'm Brant Freeman. Each and every week, we give you in-depth interviews and features of Bobcat players and teams so you can follow your favorite team here at Texas State. On our first show this week, we talk Bobcat basketball with head coach Doug Davalos and women's coach Zenary Antoine, and we hit the links with Bobcat women's golf coach Mike Akers. But first, here's a conversation with Coach Z and women's hoops. The Bobcats are halfway through conference play, getting ready for a two-game road trip at New Mexico State and at Denver. Coach, let's talk about the first half of WAC play for you. I know the record is not where you would like for it to be, but what's your assessment of the team's play?
I think considering all the adversity that we've had to overcome, I'm pretty happy in certain areas. Defensively, we really picked it up. We've made some adjustments. We're playing a lot more zone. I think you'll find at times getting big rebounds and big stops has been important to us. Like you said, there's quite a few games where we've fallen up short, and I think those are things we're continuing to work on.
Past 4 games you've played without Ashley Eze. I know losing her down low, both ends of the court can be difficult, and you'll be without her for a few more games. What is her loss meant?
I think it's been a couple different things. I think for our kids off the bench and some of our younger kids that don't see as much playing time, they've had to grow up quickly. They haven't had a chance to kind of sit back and watch. Now they're kind of thrown into the fire, if you will. Only being able to go 3 players deep, I think, can be tough on them. So the ability for them to pick up things quickly is important. More film work with them. But I think they're enjoying that they've got a new opportunity and a new role. The toughest thing about losing an inside presence, especially a double-double, is just scheme-wise. I think now a lot of teams are able just to solely focus on diamond. In our perimeter game, so our ability to kind of adjust and find other ways to score has been new, as well as we have in Jasmine Bogus and Aaron Peoples not playing natural positions. They're playing at 4 and 5 spot, and both of them are naturally 3 guards. So I think, I'm really proud of those 2 kids just because they understood what's going on. They've taken it and said, Coach, we're just going to do the best we can with what we've got. The nice thing about Erin is she's a big-time scorer. We've asked her to change her role this year and be a defender for us, and she's been able to do that. She guards multiple positions, and I think that's pretty exciting. I think as we get Eze back in the fold, we'll again see some of the offense come around, but geez, that kid has got quite a few rebounds more recently, picked up where Eze is not been around, and so I really appreciate that about Aaron Peoples. 5 of your next 7 games are on the road. What do you feel like you're going to learn about your basketball team over this next 2 to 3 week stretch? Well, the one thing I already know for sure is it's easy to battle with them, that we always fight. If you take a look at our losses, it's either happened at the free throw line or it's happened in the first half. So you see that we've battled. There's probably at least 5 games where we battled back in the second half and actually won in the second half, whether it be rebound, scoring, free throw line. So I think that's exciting. We've proven the ability to win on the road, so I think that isn't necessarily a stumbling block. It's more about us right now understanding playing our best basketball needs to come in February, regardless of which 5 women are out there. Now, the next 2 games this week at New Mexico State and at Denver, 2 teams who played earlier this year lost tight games to both of them here at Strand Coliseum. What are you looking forward to this week in the rematches? I think the nice thing about this game is the game plan is going to be completely different. As you turn around and we watch film, obviously we had Ashley Eze in those games. I think their game plan focused on both of them. So now having the ability to see how teams have schemed just to focus on diamond, ways we can exploit that, is going to be exciting for us, knowing that we'll be able to take a new game plan in and roll it out there. And Coach, the WAC tournament not that far away. What's going to be the most important thing for you by the time March rolls around? I think the only thing that I'm focusing on as a coach and our coaching staff, not necessarily the players, is making sure that we get a seed that makes sense. I think it's wide open, but I'd like to get a seed that makes sense for us to get, allow us the best opportunity to make a run. All right, Coach. Good luck this week against the Aggies and the Pioneers. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. All right, women's head coach Zenary Antoine.
My name is Raven Burns. I'm a freshman, and I'm a shooting guard, and they call me Ray. My favorite thing so far is our chemistry as a team, and we're like a family, so we hang out a lot, and I just think of all of them as my sisters. My favorite thing about practice is how intense it is. Like, we might have our ups and downs in practice where it'll be intense at one point, but when it's intense, it's just a good practice for everybody. Everybody's doing good, everybody's clapping, everybody's live, and yeah, I like that part. When I'm not playing basketball, my favorite thing to do is study and sleep and eat. Go Bobcats!
Up next at Inside Bobcat Athletics, we talk women's golf with head coach Mike Akers. Take me out to the ball game, the Texas State baseball game that is. The Bobcat baseball team finished 2012 with several players getting drafted at a ranking as high as 20th in the country. Don't miss any of the action by getting your 2013 baseball season tickets now so you're there when the Bobcats play teams such as Baylor, Rice, and Texas A&M. Purchase online at txtabobcats.com or call 512-245-2272. Every game and every play, we stand united with our team. Now here we are with women's golf coach Mike Akers. The Bobcats will tee off the spring season coming up this next week in Florida. 3 tournaments for the Bobcats coming up in the state of Florida. But coach, before we look ahead of the spring, let's look back at the fall. Very successful one for your program, ranked 28th in the country at one point. If you can just kind of look back to the fall for us and tell us that went for you.
We started off in Alabama and dominated that event, started off with a win, gained some confidence, and then as we progressed into the fall, the strength of schedule got a little more difficult, but our ranking was tremendous and right where we want to be.
Well, we mentioned it, you'll open the spring season coming up at the Miami Invitational this next week. You have 3 tournaments in Florida. What are you looking forward to start off the spring season?
We just want to continue what we did in the fall, and that's play well and just basically shoot good scores and then see how it falls out.
Once you're done in Florida, you'll be coming back home and hosting your first of 2 tournaments in the spring. It'll be the Jim West Challenge. What do you look forward to the most when being able to play at a familiar course?
Well, like you said, this is kind of replacing our event Victoria, which we've won 4 years in a row. So, we obviously want to win the event, and this is a special year with the Jim West name on it. And obviously, he really stepped up. He and his wife Carol and made our practice facility Plum Creek a reality. So this is going to be a special event.
And later on in the spring, Onion Creek will be playing there as well.
Yeah, the challenge at Onion Creek is April 1st and 2nd, and Texas Tech is coming back to try to defend their title, and hopefully they don't. But we're looking forward to that event as well.
Coach, one of the things I definitely want to get into with you is the announcement of the new golf practice facility this past fall. What's that going to mean for your program?
This is we've already seen it impact the program with the signing of 2 top Texans back in November. We have not had an official home per se. We've utilized many golf courses in the area, and we've done a great job doing that, but this facility will really help recruiting.
You mentioned that, and you brought up the 2 signings announced this past fall, 2 of the top players in the state. What does that say about your program to be able to bring in talent like that?
Well, it means a lot. We've had trouble attracting the top Americans, and perception's one reason, facility's another reason, and we got Maddie Monzingo, who at the time was number 1 in 4A, and Allie Cowan, who at the time was number 2 in 5A. And they signed back in November, and they both saw the construction of the practice facility on their visits, and it made a huge difference.
Coach, one thing we've not talked with you yet about is some of the players on your team right now and this group heading into the spring. If you can highlight some of your golfers and what we can look forward to seeing this season.
Well, Krista's coming off a fall where she averaged 72.8 or something around that. She continues to improve every year. She started with 76 her freshman year and went to 75, 74, now she's at 72. So she's continually improved. Her work ethic's unbelievable, personality, basically a straight A student. Can't say enough about her. And then we've got some young players. Our 2 sophomores, Lejean and Iman, are both stepping up as well. We have a freshman, Laura Assad, who I feel is really going to step in the top 5 this spring. And then Valdez John's daughter, who's a senior, she did great in the fall and hopefully do the same in the spring.
Well, Coach, I think it goes without saying, have fun in Florida this coming week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How do you keep up with the Cats? Between Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, you have all kinds of options, and we're breaking it down for you on Inside Bobcat Football.
The Bobcats can stay in touch with us right from their phone through social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, text messages, iPhone apps, Android apps. We have them all, and it's a great way to get in contact, stay up to date with features, highlights, scores, sent right to your phone or to your computer. And so, one of the best ways to get in contact and know what's going on with the Bobcats is through social media. The best thing about Facebook and Twitter is that we can release stuff out pretty instantly, either from the back end of our website or right to Facebook or Twitter. Fans can get videos, postings of messages from our players and from our coaches. From inside the athletic department, we usually try to release stuff out on Facebook or Twitter before we release it out anywhere else, because we know that's how fans want to receive their information and they want to get it quickly. And so we use it quite a bit. It's a great community for fans to have a voice back to the athletic department. It's a great community for fans to chat with other fans about what's going on in the athletic department. And so we use it quite a bit just to kind of give a personality to our athletic department and let fans know what's going on as quickly as possible. Today's fans, they want to receive information as quickly as possible with the least amount of characters as possible. And so one way to do that is to sign up for text messaging. You can go to our website, txabobcats.com. Click on the SMS icon and sign up for text message. You can receive text messages on any one of our sports or all of our sports if you want to, and those text messages get sent out from our athletic department right to your phone. We usually send out information, scores, who's leading the game, leaders in the game and that type of stuff. And so it's just a great way and another way to receive information on what's happening with the Bobcats.
Coming up next at Inside Bobcat Athletics, men's basketball with head coach Doug Davalos. The Texas State softball team experienced a stellar season in 2012, finishing with a trip to the NCAA Softball National Championships. This season looks to be even better as head coach Ricky Woodard returns 5 all-conference players to compete against perennial softball programs such as Baylor, Texas, and Texas A&M. Don't miss any of the action. Get your 2013 Bobcat softball season tickets now. Purchase online at txabobcats.com or call 512-245-2272. Here we are with men's basketball head coach Doug Davalos. The Bobcats coming off a 3-game winning streak, all on the road. Wins at UTSA, Idaho, and Seattle this past Saturday, with a couple of home games coming up this week. And Coach, let's look back at the road trip. Just a resilient effort from your basketball team. 3 wins, all comeback efforts for you.
You don't script it like that as a coach, but at the end of the day, it's even more rewarding when you have to face adversity like we did and to come back, because sports is about overcoming adversity, and when you can come back from being down, you feel like you're going to be in every game. If they would have been games where we were up 15 and just held on to the lead, it would have probably made my life a little better. But at the same time, our team now believes that if we'll just stay together, not quit, keep playing hard, that we can be in any game, no matter what the score is, and I think that's probably the most rewarding part of it.
I know the score at Idaho 1 point was 30-13 in the first half, and then something got in a Joel Wright, 37-point game against the Vandals. Talk about what he's meant to you, named WAC Player of the Week this past week, and what he did for you in the trip.
That was the most dominant individual performance I've ever seen as a coach. He put us on his back in that game, but we also had some guys that, as we said when I announced it to the team that Joel, was Player of the Week, I said, you don't get Player of the Week unless your team wins, and that's a team award. Joel was the best and had the best individual performances, but our team really stepped up. Phil Hawkins was tremendous. Reed Cannon was tremendous, and you can keep going down the line. We just had lots of guys contribute, and when you have that, and then you can have a special performance like Joel that takes you over the top, you got a chance to win games.
You mentioned Reed Cannon. He was your leading scorer against Seattle at 24 points, and he's been doing a lot of this off the bench, as has Joel. What does it say when you have a couple of players like that being able to come off the bench and contribute in that way?
Doesn't Manu Ginobili come off the bench for the Spurs? I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, if you look at the end of the day, Reed and Joel were playing 30-plus minutes. So, you know, we've put our egos on check. In fact, just to tell you a little story about Joel, I was going to start him in the second half against Idaho because he was playing so well. He said, "Coach, keep with the same group in there. I don't mind. Keep me coming off the bench." And that tells you where his head is and saying, let's keep going with what works. Guys don't care about that, really. You know, they used to early on in the year. That's something that really you have to, you know, with a new team and anything, you got to get used to. And now these guys say, hey, it doesn't matter if I'm going to start or come off the bench. If I play well, coach is going to play me. And so the funny thing is, you know, that bench thing gets kind of overstated because our two bench guys averaged about 35 minutes a game, so that's pretty significant.
Well, let's talk about the opportunity you have in front of you this week. A couple of home games against New Mexico State and Denver. Two teams you played early this year on the road. What do you remember about those games, and what are you looking forward to this week?
I remember we played really well in both of those games, and we've played well away from home in the WAC. I mean, we're 3-2 away from home, and both of those games, you know, it was a one-possession game under 4 minutes left to go, and we didn't make enough plays down the stretch to get the win. But they're two out of the three top teams in the WAC coming in here. But I think our guys are pretty confident because they know that we gave them a pretty good shot over there, and they know that we're a better team, a more confident team now. And I believe that the mentality in our locker room and in practice is, when we played them the first time, we were hoping we can win. Now we believe we're going to win, and there's a big difference. Confidence goes a long way, and I'm hoping that confidence and the execution and the emphasis on team is going to continue this week at home. And then, you know, the other part of that is we haven't had the students here for a home game. We've had 4 WAC games and with not very many people in the stands, and we're hoping that they'll come out and support the team, you know, based on how they've played lately, because this is a totally different atmosphere when the students are here. And so this will be the first home games we'll have where the students are back in class, so I'm hoping that makes a difference.
And we hope to see you here, Strand Coliseum Thursday against New Mexico State, Saturday against Denver. Bobcats looking for the 4th straight win, and by Saturday, hopefully their 5th. Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Bobcat Athletics. Tune in next week as we bring you live coverage of National Signing Day and talk about all the new football recruits coming here to Texas State. Until then, I'm Brant Freeman for TXDBobcats.com, reminding you that united, we fan. We'll see you next time.